You're listening to the Back Home Network, presented by Homefield Apparel.
All right, folks, welcome back to CrimsonCASH. Scott here with you. Another episode of CrimsonCASH is coming your way. Before we get to that, just want to give a big shout out to Homefield Apparel. They've been a proud sponsor of the entire home network. I got it last week. I am wearing my Cardiac Colts sweatshirt. I know it's an audio medium and you can't see it. I actually moved my camera to show it to James so you can see it. But Cardiac Colts, they have a whole collection. It's just awesome stuff. So check them out, Homefield Apparel. You can still get in on their Black Friday sale. I think it's still going on for 20% off. If not, use the promo code HOME23 for 15% off. Let them know that we sent you. That's 15% off your first purchase. Homefield Apparel, wear one for the team. It's great stuff. I'm rocking Cardiac Colts. James, yeah, I know you're a big fan of those Cardiac Colts.
You got to lick your fingers before you snap that ball.
Yep,
yeah,
yep. Man,
that's how
that
we used
team
to do it in the backyard, just like Captain Comeback himself.
So close to making the Super Bowl, right?
Quentin Coriat, to this day, I don't blame Aaron Bailey. He almost made the greatest catch ever. But Quentin Coriat dropped a surefire interception from Bubby Brister in that game, and I think that's what cost us. And I'm still bitter about it.
I mean, that's a wild AFC Championship quarterback battle, the Bubby Brister versus John Harbaugh.
Or Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh. I always get that screwed up.
John Harbaugh. Yeah. Now, that would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Leave it in. Not going to edit. So, before we get going on to the bowl picks, IU has a new coach. You've been watching James Madison splits and stuff, but Curt Cignetti, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, originally we'd planned for this to be an episode of lamentations over the season was and didn't come to fruition, and reflect on Tom Allen's tenure, but we get to shovel that under the rug.
First off, sorry, I totally forgot. Do you want to say, let's do it in proper order. Do you want to lament the season or do any Tom Allen recap before we get to new Coach Curt?
I Googled Love's Last Stand, and it actually is a song by some small time recording artist. So that's all I have. That's the update, and I am ready to move on from Love.
Yep.
Because Cignetti's a Yinzer. This dude isn't Love. He's Western Pennsylvania, and they grow football there. Yep. I mean, if you say, hey, we got a basketball coach coming in, he's from Indiana, that immediately gives us some cachet, right?
Right.
We know about Western Pennsylvania knows football, and he spent a lot of time in the South too. So pedigree wise, I like that. I love that he worked for Nick Saban. I love that Nick Saban has already given him a ringing endorsement. I think this is going to be this is better than I expected IU would do.
Yeah.
I thought they would screw this up. I don't think they screwed this up.
What in their history has made you feel that way?
Now, I may be wrong 3 or 4 years down the road, and this thing just looks like a shit show. But on the face, I mean, what's not to like? I mean, the guy's got a winning record everywhere he's gone. And more importantly, as I think Galen mentioned earlier when you guys did your live podcast right after the news broke, he builds cultures.
Yeah.
He turns he went to Elon and turned it into a winner. Not Elon Musk, Elon the university. I mean, that's probably not an easy thing to do. I got to imagine that's on par with getting IU to a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? And we've got a fairly workable schedule next year. And he's got some young assistants who are immediately going to get pay raises if they want to come with him. And he may have some guys that he wants to bring with him from James Madison. So I don't know. I think this is a good move for IU. I'm glad they did it quickly. I'm glad they got somebody that I think they outkicked their coverage a little bit on this one. This is the fat guy with the pretty wife, I think, at this point, because, I mean, short of Gruden or Urban Meyer or something, crazy splashy like that, this is about as good as we were going to get. And so I'm pretty stoked about it.
I agree with all of that. I mean, I'm with you. It was somebody who was obviously not on my radar 4 or 5 days ago, and even early. It was not the guy that I had kind of zeroed in on as the one that I wanted. But now that I see it, now that I look into it, now that I read a little bit more, I'm in. Like, I'm sold. And the only negative is the age. And it's like I mean, everything I've seen, he looks like a young 63. Like, if I would have guessed his age, would be like, I don't know, 48, 50 maybe. He does not look 63. And
if you go to YouTube, you can see him on the Pat McAfee show.
yeah, he looks young.
He goes toe to toe with Pat McAfee and the boys. Like, and that's a rowdy crowd. And he had that they did it live in front of like a bunch of James Madison students.
Yeah.
He had them eating out of the palm of his hand. I mean, this dude, he's got way more energy than I do.
No, it's true. And it's like,
he may be 62, but that doesn't really matter.
Well, and I was talking to, it's like most IU coaches, it's like a 5 or 6 year run. Like, we just haven't had a lot of 30-year runs here. And it's like, yeah, would it be great if he was 42 and it's like we can get 35 more years? It's awesome. But, if he can turn things around, get us going in the right direction, give us 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 really good years, great. Like, that's awesome. And build the culture that we can grow off of. Like, that's all we need.
Yeah, I mean, who are these people complaining about his age? Like, oh, he's too old to do this. Like, really? Our president is like 80 fucking years old. Running the country is a lot harder than running IU football.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. They are very equally difficult jobs. I will say that. But this guy's, I mean, age is just a number. We all know that. I mean, that's so stupid. And look, if this guy can make it 10 years and he's successful, holy Lord. I mean, they should build a statue of him. Because that doesn't happen at IU. So whatever successful time you can get, just be happy with it. If he's here 5 years and he takes us to a Big Ten championship game or a Rose Bowl or something like that, and he goes to, I don't know, Nick Saban retires and he goes to Bama for the next few years or something stupid like that, and he leaves us for a bigger time job, who cares? We won. Like, we were winning. Like, that's all that matters. So if the guy comes in and wins, I don't care how long he does it for. I just care that he does it.
No, I agree. And I always, whenever I hear what you just said, I'm always like, the first time that someone leaves IU for another job will be the first time it happens ever. Like, it just doesn't happen. So it's like, I think it's always funny. I know it's not you, but it's like always funny when people get that in their mind. It's like, oh my God, what if he's good and he leaves? Like, that'd be great because it hasn't happened before. Like, I'd love to see it happen. Well, but
Terry Hepner, when Terry Hepner was hired, how old was he? Yeah. I mean, but did that, I mean, obviously medical situations, intervened there, but nobody saw that coming. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So age doesn't really matter to me nearly as much. It's what you do with your age.
And the thing that I'll say is, like, if they had hired, I'm just picking, Jason Candle or name out of a hat or something, like somebody younger, I know I always rail against this, but if somebody younger came in and had some considerable success, then I know I joke it hasn't happened because it hasn't happened. But if you hire somebody younger and they do well, there's a really good chance that they probably would go somewhere else. So it's like, you're probably looking at a 6 to 7 year window, no matter what. Like, if you hire, you hire someone who's 63, you got a 7-year window. You hire someone who's young and they turn out good, they're probably going to get plucked in 6 or 7 years, or more than likely, if they're bad, they're going to get fired. Like, the chance of whoever we hire having a 20-year run is probably minuscule.
Exactly. What you need is somebody who can build a culture of winning, a culture of football, and that can extend beyond one specific coach.
And it looks like Coach Curt can do that.
This seems like a guy that can do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, let's go to teams that have a culture and are in their conference championships. We'll run through some conference championship numbers. We're going to play a little game. There's been a lot of conference bouncing around. On ESPN and on the Action Network, it just shows me the teams and the games. It does not show me the conference name. So we're going to make sure, see if I can guess all of the conferences that these are in there. And I'm not sure I'm going to get them all right. Just throwing that out there. And I follow sports, but it's like keeping track of all the conferences is tough. First off, we have New Mexico State at Liberty. Liberty, a possible landing spot for Tom Allen last year. Also ranked 24th in the country. Liberty is an 11.5-point favorite. Oh, and this is Conference USA.
I like New Mexico State plus 11.5 here. I think that line's, I mean, I know Liberty's been trouncing people, But New Mexico State's a pretty decent football team, and they recently beat Auburn by 3 touchdowns. So I mean, given all that, I think this is too big of a spread. Now, this game is being played in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yep.
So I'm worried this might be a home game for Liberty, which seems odd that you would have your conference championship game at home field. I don't know. But that may affect the line by a point or 2 or 3. But I like New Mexico State plus 11.5 here.
All right, next up, also Friday night. This is Pac-12. I know this. I got 2 more that I know I'm sure of. We have Oregon at Washington. They're not playing at a home stadium. This is in Las Vegas. Washington is, okay. Washington is a 9.5 point underdog in this game.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I obviously have not looked at the lines yet, and you can see I think I know where you're going, but yeah.
Yeah, Oregon was a slight favorite the first time they played, right? So, and then Washington won outright. That was at Washington.
Yep.
But I don't see these teams that far, that much separation between these two teams. So 9.5 points seems bizarre to me. There's probably a reason for it, but I like the Huskies here to at least cover. I think they may win outright.
Yeah, I agree.
Oregon's good, but they're getting hyped up a lot. 9.5 points. That seems like a trap. If you're on Team Ducks.
So when you're
give me the Huskies.
So I'm with you. I'm going to ask you a betting question here. Like when you're in the spot where it's like I think Washington could just win. Do you? Obviously, you bet the money line, but do you also then bet Washington plus? Like, do you try and take both? And it's like I'm just going to bet 9.5 points and the money line, and it's like then if Washington wins, I get them both. But it's like I kind of hedge where if they don't win, but they lose by a field goal, at least I'm like half in. Like, do you ever do that, or do you just like do you go all in on one side?
Yeah. So if I'm doing that, and I may do that, and you can do those as like single game. Well, I mean, you couldn't do a spread and a
money line parlay,
money line and a single game parlay. But what you want to do is you want to split your bets. It generally, and you should all be doing this. You have a certain bet amount that you normally make. That's your unit. Okay, right. So $10 is your normal bet, or $5 is your normal bet. $100 is your normal bet if you're a baller, you know. So, okay, I like Washington on the spread. I'll put my normal unit on that, and I'll put a half a unit on them on the money line or something along that. So you kind of spread your money around a little bit, where, hey, I can really win big, but it's a little more risk here. So I'm going to drop how much I'm actually putting on it. But you're still going to cover it if you win your spread bet. So if you feel really good about the spread bet and you think, you know what, there's a chance they might pull this thing out. That's how I generally go about it. I'll place my normal bet on like the spread, and then I'll do like a half normal bet on the money line.
That makes sense. I like that. I will do that sometimes. So a version of that. What I also do is if I feel really good about something, and I might do this in this situation too, is like I'll bet Washington money line and just leave that on its own. And then I'll put together a parlay based on Washington point spread, like them to, it's like I'm getting 9.5 points. I feel like they're going to win anyway. So to me, it's like that's as close to a, air quotes guaranteed bet. And then I might throw a couple more parlay, like add a couple things to the Washington money line bet to make the odds a little better, thinking that I kind of already have one leg of it in the bank is kind of the way I look at it sometimes too. And then I normally end up losing everything, but.
Well, one thing you can do, especially on these conference championship games where there are these long odds, is if the team who's the underdog gets up early, you're going to be able to get both sides. So in a situation like this, if you have Washington on the money line at plus odds going into the game, and let's say they're up, 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, well, Oregon's probably going to be getting plus odds at that point. And then you could have a situation where regardless of the outcome, you're going to be winning money on the game. So, that's another way you can play if you like betting money line dogs. That's one thing I always look to do. I'm making sure it's a game I'm going to be watching usually if I'm betting a money line dog so that I can pounce in game if need be.
In-game bet's a really good idea. All right, we're moving on to the This is the Big 12. Oklahoma State Oklahoma State, Texas, and Texas comes in as a 15.5-point favorite.
Yeah, we got a total on this of 55.
Yes, that is correct.
And I like the over here.
Okay.
These teams combined for over 70 points last year. Oklahoma State doesn't play a ton of defense. Texas does kind of. Maybe they can slow them down a little, but I don't see that. This is a Big 12 title game. That equals a shootout. Give me points. Give me the over.
All right, next up, we have Georgia at Alabama. Or Georgia versus Alabama. Bama, not normally in this spot. They are a 5.5-point underdog playing the Bulldogs.
This is one of the biggest dogs Bama's been in years. This is in Atlanta, right?
This is in Atlanta, yeah.
Does that not seem like a kind of a home field advantage there?
Yes.
For the dogs? 5.5. Yeah, give me that all day on Georgia. All day. I normally say never, ever bet against Nick Saban in a big game. That's a general rule I have. But I'm going to do it here. I'm going to take Georgia. I really like them in this game.
We have, man, it's weird. Action Network doesn't have everybody here. So there's Miami of Ohio at Toledo.
Ooh.
That is a game I don't have a line for. It's not on the action.
I got 8.
You got 8? All right. So I'm going to make you call. I have to guess what conference this is. This is the MAC, correct?
This is, of course, the MAC.
Yeah.
We've got the Miami Redskins getting 8 points at the Toledo Rockets in Detroit. Or wait, no, they're the
Ford Field.
Where are they now? Red Hawks.
Yep.
They're the Red Hawks now. We'll call them the Redskins. Why not? That's what CrimsonCASH is going to do. In Detroit at a total of 44. I like Miami getting 8 points. Earlier this season, they played. Toledo was a 2-point favorite. Toledo covered that and won by 4. I don't see them winning by more than a touchdown, so give me Miami.
All right, we also have another game that's not on the action. I have a couple that aren't on Action Network right now, or at least they're not on the main scoreboard. Boise State versus UNLV in Las Vegas, so kind of a home game there. This is the Mountain West. Do you have a line on this game?
I do. I have Nevada, Las Vegas is getting 2.5 points.
Okay.
And I'm taking them on the money line.
Okay.
I like them at home. And I'm not impressed with Boise State. UNLV's been pretty decent this year. Their defense looks good. I'm 2.5 points. We're going to take them on the money line.
All right, we have SMU versus Tulane. I do have a line on this. Tulane is a 3.5-point favorite. This conference, this is one of the last two that I'm not 100% sure about. SMU and Tulane, are they... Shoot, man, because I know SMU is moving to the ACC. I would have thought Tulane might have been in Conference USA, but they're not because we've already done that. Shoot, man, what other conferences are there?
The American Athletic Conference.
I was going to say the AAC, yeah.
And that's where Cincinnati was last year, right?
Okay, yeah.
They were in this game. Tulane, I like them. I like Southern Methodist. I like points. 47 is the over-under on this, and I like the over here. These teams are going to score a lot of points, I got a feeling.
All right, I'm showing Appalachian State versus Troy. That's not D1. I'm just going to – that's Sun Belt?
That is.
That D? My
that
God.
is the Sun Belt Conference.
That's right, because
where
Appalachian
our
State
new head football coach hails from.
They just moved up. Wow. Oh, I mean, hey, man, you can't be perfect in everything. I'm perfect in everything else.
Troy also, once upon a time, was an FCS school.
Yeah,
I think that they were.
I mean, I know when Appalachian State beat Michigan, they were not D1. I do remember now they moved up. So Sun Belt. All right, not paying close because yes, of course. When I think Sun Belt, I think of Appalachian State. Of course. I don't have a line on this game. Do you have numbers in this?
Appalachian State is getting 6 points with an over/under of 52.5. I like App State to cover. Troy's pretty good, but App State's been plucky, and they beat the erstwhile undefeated James Madison Dukes with Curt Cignetti. That was their first loss of the year. So coming off of that, I think they're going to rally and cover the 6.
You and I love to gamble. We do a podcast about gambling. I will say
Absolutely.
if you put a lot of money on the Appalachian State Troy game, it's under the category of you might have a gambling problem. Like just
Look,
throwing that out there.
sometimes we do the lines for the degenerates. They listen too. The whole podcast can't be for normal people.
That's true. All right, we have Michigan, Iowa. It's Big Ten. I know that. Michigan is a 22-point favorite in Indianapolis.
Okay, I've gone back and forth on this one.
Well, hold on. Over under. I forgot Iowa. Over under. We've opened this up for you. 35 over under. Oh, I'd like the over on that.
Yeah, you can still get it at 34.5. I think the over is probably the play here because I think Michigan probably hits it. Now, there's a scenario where Michigan decides we're not going to do anything. I don't want to show you shit.
They just get a field goal and then just win the game 3-2 or something.
Yeah, they easily could. If they get 6 points, they have an insurmountable lead against this Iowa offense.
That's
right?
fair. Yeah.
So there's a possibility that happens. I'm going to guess that probably doesn't happen. I think the best bet on the board right now, you can get Blake Corum 2+ touchdowns at plus odds at plus 135.
Okay.
That's probably the best bet on the board for this game. Iowa may cover this 22 just out of sheer boredom from Michigan. Probably not, but I think this over definitely hits. Iowa will definitely not score an offensive touchdown. In fact, Iowa total touchdowns is even money 0.5. So over under at 0.5 on total team touchdowns for Iowa. They won't get one offensively. I can pretty much assure that.
Yeah.
But they sneak in one in a punt return or something wacky. A punt return that gets returned by the refs or something. We've seen that earlier this year from them. I'm still bitter about that.
All right, last game. We have Louisville, Florida State. This is ACC. So I got all but 2 right, and I was about to say AAC as my guess. So I'm 1.5. I gave myself a 1.5 wrong.
Scott, incredibly proud of you.
We should be. I think we all are. It's been a great day. Florida State is a 2.5-point favorite playing Louisville.
Give me the Noles here to cover. So, and here's my logic on this. All right, so follow me.
Okay.
All year, the entire IU football season, there was only one game where we played better in the second half than we did the first half, and that was the Louisville game, right?
Yep.
So if Tom Gallen can outcoach you for a half of football, you don't deserve to win your conference championship, and you will therefore lose to the Seminoles. That's my theory on this one. Plus, they laid a real egg against Kentucky.
Yeah. So if that holds up, we're looking at basically, you're going to have a Final Four of Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, and then the winner of the Oregon-Washington game.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And if one of those...
there's one team that doesn't belong there, and that's Florida State.
Yeah.
Although if they lose, we could be in for some fun.
Yeah, if they lose, well, obviously, if any of those 3 lose, Georgia might...
There's zero chance Michigan's losing. We all know that.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Correct. And whoever wins this Pac-12 game is going, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a world where if Georgia loses...
We know there's 2 already.
And there's a world where Georgia could lose really close and maybe still make it.
I don't think they're going to lose.
I don't think
but
so
yes,
either.
that is also very true.
It's harder to believe, but yeah, it's like Florida State loses, they are out, and then it becomes a real free for all.
Then it becomes all the one-loss teams vying for it, and that leaves Georgia, Ohio State, Texas,
yep,
and the Oregon-Washington loser.
Yeah, but
they wouldn't go 2 Pac-12 teams. That's for all the marbles in Vegas on Friday night. That's going to be a fun flipping game. 65.5 the over-under on that.
That's gonna go Penix, man. Like go Pen. As IU fans, we should all just bang Washington money line and just let's go Penix.
You know what? I'm going to drop some money on the Washington money line, I think.
You should.
I don't know why you wouldn't. These teams, I don't understand this line. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Washington's already beat them once.
9.5 is a ton of points.
That's a lot of points.
And it's not like the game is close to Eugene either. I mean, they're both far away from Vegas. It's going to be anyway, I'm with you. So, all right, man, it's going to be fun. Let's try and get back together before we'll pick a time before the bowls start and kind of find a good point to get as many bowls in as we can once we get a feel for where the bowls are set.
I love it, man. I love bowl season.
Yep, and we can even throw some
NFL
stuff.
You can watch football while you're working and gamble. It's like the greatest combination of things.
It is. Is it better for you? To me, the best 2 weeks is still the basketball conference championship week and the first week of the NCAA tournament. So that to me is like my apex of sports time. Is it? Where do you put it there?
Conference championship week is the greatest betting week of all time for college basketball. That is hands down the best week of the year because there's the most games to bet on. But this time of year where you're getting lots of college basketball games in conjunction with your college football games, in conjunction with the NFL and the NBA, it's pretty nice. You get a lot, and the NHL, you get a lot of options out there right now. And so this is a pretty good time of year. I usually make my most money in bowl season and in March. So so those are my two favorite times of year.
All right, well, James, appreciate it. Hey, thanks for a great season again. Another full season of Crimson Cash. We got there. We made it to the end. Iowa over-unders, they kept us going this year. It was fun. I hope they never fire Hayden Fry out there. Like, just keep Ferentz. I keep thinking Hayden Fry. Keep Ferentz out there forever because he's so much fun to gamble with.
Oh, he's great. I love it. And this has been another great year. And I appreciate everybody listening.
Yes. So for James, this is Scott for Crimson Cash signing off.
Post time.